Hey there, friends. Good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're watching. It's Shay, Podbean spokesperson here, and we are back with another episode of Podbean Amplified. I'm so excited. I have my buddy, co-host extraordinaire, Jared, across from me. Jared, what's up?
We back, man. I'm excited. Great guests, great topics. I'm excited.
I'm excited to get the ball rolling. And you actually just came back from a trip.
Yeah.
Tell us where you went to.
Yeah, we were in Chicago, Illinois. And they actually had this convention in LA prior, which was, I think, a bigger difference. But yeah, it's all the people in podcasting industry, all the different podcast hosting companies, our rivals, but we got love for you. Podcasting news agencies, the whole nine, people that just want to be in podcasting. Yeah, it was fun.
So is the Evolutions podcast in Chicago just the hub for podcasting?
Yeah. They're more podcast centric, right? I think you have a lot of media broadcasting conferences, but this was definitely more about podcasting in general, because podcasting from an interview, show standpoint, production standpoint, it does have kind of its own characteristics. But yeah, no, great time. Met a lot of cool people. Made a joke with one of our rivals, like, hey, man, I'll call you. Maybe we'll get to trade some insider secrets. And she was like, that will not be happening. I thought I'd try. No,
oh, man, to be there. I really want to go next year.
You will.
I'm
Shay
so
will be
excited.
there next year.
We'll be there next year.
Yes, we'll be there. Not this big, hairy guy. You have Shay's bubbly energy. Yes.
Oh, the world needs to do better. And just play the video and we'll talk about it.
Influencers are being paid to smear campaign Hailey Bieber in a new trend. The trend starts with my boyfriend, whoever, fate must have brought us together, and then goes to a clip of Hailey laughing like, you're the stalker, you're calling yourself Hailey Bieber. Francesca went to Snapchat to explain.
The trend, or the person who owns the song that's on the trend will pay creators to do that trend.
And I can double down on this. It's been offered to me. Not for this.
Song, or who created it, or someone else that wants to push a narrative, who knows, is paying creators to do that trend. Making fun of Hailey. And I think that is so mean.
This is the sound that goes along with the Hailey trend. The band and the record label seem to have no association with the Hailey Bieber beef. Just their PR team capitalizing off of it. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts.
I think, we spoke about it off camera before filming. You can see this is media in general. This is podcasting. There's such an awesome tool with using your voice through the medium of podcasting, any media platform. It's a powerful tool. On the flip side of that, it can be used to really hurt people. And I am not, like you said, we're very neutral on the Hailey Bieber thing, right? I think if you're a Selena Gomez fan, you're probably down on the Hailey Bieber train right now because she stole her 10 years ago in some maniacal plan. But I am just against using all of I've been on platforms where there's critique, there's constructive criticism, all good things. If someone's looking to hear something about themselves, a truth, right, that can help them grow, but just straight weaponizing media, not great, man.
I think it's cool to have your opinion. Obviously, we push podcasting, which is essentially speaking your mind, stating your opinion. Gosh, it's annoying to me that people are using their platforms to spread this kind of hate and negativity. I mean, she's asking for it. She's been on the media. She's been a mean girl in the media. And
yeah, she could clean that up.
Yeah, but we're all human. I mean, we've been to high school, college, whatnot. We're hoping these people will grow up, but you continue to put them on camera and they give you a show, right?
Yes. And we keep watching. That's yeah.
And I mean, scaling it down. I'm just using a big example, but I see that in my everyday life. On social media, every single day, someone's spreading hate. You see a post going viral and, it's something negative. I go to the comment section for a good laugh. I'm not perfect, but I'm like, I'm not going to go out there and make someone feel bad about themselves. I mean, take that energy and go stand in the mirror and go fix yourself. Put their 2 cents away and go put it into your fucking machine.
Yeah, you're good.
See? Spreading all that hate is making me so angry.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed. Like, you have a voice and you have a platform and you want to make money by causing chaos. Like, that is just, look at yourself.
We do not have a sense of our own identities, I think, when it comes to media, right? Because if it's an old age adage where it's like, if you are confident in yourself, you don't have to talk about it. Honestly, the opinion in whatever anyone else does has nothing to do with you,
Right.
let alone affect you into a space where you talk about somebody. It's no holds bar at this point, right? Like, and it's all for the sake of turning a dollar. That's what makes it a little scarier too, right? Like, you see these TMZ tabloid people. I mean, they're going to great lengths to get into the inner linings of these people's lives, right? I mean, what if Hailey Bieber took Justin from Selena?
Who the hell cares?
Justin has accepted that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what are we doing here? Like, are we like, it's getting, yeah, man, it's not great.
That's his life. You know, a lot of things go on at home, and everybody has their qualms and their personal, you know, closets full of skeletons and things that you don't want to come out. Unfortunately, these people chose to be celebrities. They show what they show, and it's unfortunate that people are taking out their own insecurities and pushing it onto people. I mean, they're human. At the end of the day, they're human. They wake up, you know, they pray or they eat and they sleep and repeat, and we all kind of do the same things. So I don't know. It's a double-edged sword with social media. I think that if you don't want it to happen to you, don't put it out there. If you make a comment, be prepared that one day somebody's going to comment to you and you're not going to like it. Yeah. And that one day you're going to realize, like, oh, I have hurt a lot of people's feelings without even realizing it.
I think that's all of us. Like, I think we've woke up, all of us, at some point in our lives, and like, I could have dealt with that a lot better.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the drama that's going on, I've been there. I've done that. I've been a part of it, you know, but then you go to bed, you wake up, and then you turn 16, 17. Like, this is high school shit.
You're right. It's a very small topic being loaded, cocked and loaded in this big mass media machine. So people who go to TikTok, people who go to TMZ for their news, which is fine. That's what they're taking in, right? And then they're like, I can totally defame somebody and attack someone's character, and it's okay, right? Yeah, it's not great.
It's too normalized now that I have to say something. And I apologize. I'm not that much of an angry person. That much.
Turning it to a new subject, guys, again, Podbean, we are a software company. We are one of the top podcast hosting software companies in the industry, in the space. And we feel like we can help you start a podcast. We feel like we know what we're doing. We want to update you on a brand new update on our website. It is a brand new interface for our statistics analytics for Podbean. Guys, I used to never really care about numbers, right? And as I grew older and as I applied for new jobs, they're asking me, do you know how to do these things, right? We provide in-depth looks at what your episodes are doing. And I get it, right? Sometimes you don't even want to look at it, right? I think the convo we have with a lot of our guests is like, just start, you know, be patient. Don't look for numbers, right? And that's the best way to start a podcast. And it's okay to look at the numbers as time goes on and say, hey, I put a lot of time and energy into this and I'm not getting back a return. And then what should I change? At Podbean Analytics, our interface provides you so many things, from episode performance data, download trends, listener engagement. Guys, you can find out where people are listening in from. You guys can cater your message. Let's say you have 1,000 people listening from New York City, right? Maybe you start talking about things that relate to people from New York City. I mean, these are small little adjustments that if you implemented them into the growth of your podcast, you never know how far these things could really add to the podcast. So please go to podbean.com. Again, start for free. But we have our analytics and we know that it can really help you guys.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is definitely a great second step for a lot of people out there who are already podcasting. To your point, you know, how can I push it further? Why is this not working? You know, just like every single training, if you're singing, you want to push yourself a little more, see your vocal range. Maybe in a year, your vocal range is going to be so much better, I promise you. I mean, look at Ariana Grande. When she was younger compared to now, 10 years later, she's fantastic, even better than before. And even just anything you do, you can always get better. And so that next step, definitely take a look at your stats, play around with it. I mean, you post on a Monday at 5 a.m. It's like how many people realistically are awake or based on your demographic.
Yeah.
If somebody in China is listening and you're posting when it's 2 a.m. their time, that's bad. So maybe if, China is your big listening fan base, you're going to adjust your uploads according to those listening times.
Yeah.
And you can even schedule them. Don't think, I have to stay up until 3 a.m. and post so that XYZ can see it. No, go ahead and schedule it. Go check out the tutorials. We got you.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to look at where you're at. People are so afraid to say, dang, I have 3 listeners. That's fine. Where are they located? What time are they listening, right? Find the demo. Find exactly who is your listener base. Find ways to engage them greater. You're going to keep hearing this from us at Podbean. We are all for people trying out a podcast and starting there. But then also, too, we're always going to encourage you guys to grow. That's our software update for the week. Go check out our new interface, podbean.com. Analytics statistics available to you.
So bringing in our guest for today, podcast extraordinaire, filmmaker, director. He has been in many rooms, has had many different people inside of his podcasting space, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. But just doing the dang thing every single day. And we are blessed to have him on here. Please welcome Arrad from Ourselves podcast.
Welcome.
Everybody's clapping for you at home. You don't hear it, but they are.
Hey y'all, how you doing?
I'm good. How are
Great.
you doing today? Thank you for joining
Coming
in,
on. Thank
and we appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So let's start off on introducing yourselves. Tell us a little bit about what you do day to day. Podcasting, is that your main thing? Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I came up doing short form content, so I did music videos and commercials for a bunch of different cool artists from all sorts of genres, from pop to hip hop to everything. And that kind of just led me into a career of doing this for like the past 13, 14 years. And over the past year, in fact, in January of this year, I finally launched my own podcast, and it's become a second part of my career. It's not really like a career for me yet, but it's just something I'm doing as a passion project. And it's within a few months, it's already evolved into something bigger than I could have ever imagined. So yeah, it's just pretty much a little bit about me,
Did you always want to podcast? Was there something inside of you that knew you were a conversationalist, or, you're like, I love having conversations and just picking people's brains? Because obviously you dig deep into Ourselves. Like your podcast is very introspective, very open dialogue, and I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I was just in my industry. I pretty much dedicated my whole life to it for many years. And what happened was, when I was like chasing these highs and these big lofty goals, I compromised a lot of myself from just little things like lack of sleep, to not taking care of my mental health, to just sometimes not really knowing how to manage my clients or how to manage even money, like things that nobody really teaches you, And that's kind of what sparked me to do this show, was not necessarily because I'm a conversationalist, but more because I felt like I learned a lot of things along my journey, and I met a lot of really amazing people. And I figured, man, if only I had something like this when I was coming up, it would tremendously help me be able to not put so much harm to myself and to my body and to my mental health. So this is more just like a resource that I want to make for anybody who's in the creative space. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
What were challenges when you were coming up through starting a podcast? Because you as the audience now knows, you were and have been and still are a video producer. What were challenges that you had to overcome being a videographer and also filmmaker now in the podcast space that helped you get to where you're at today, right? Because I think with our podcasting base, it's always the challenges that they're afraid of. But what challenges did you face that just helped you get to where you're at and to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's the thing about me is, because I'm a filmmaker, and because my background is in building crazy sets for different artists and clients, I came in with the expectation extremely high for myself. I set the bar extremely high, And I felt like I had to. If I came out with a weak podcast that didn't look cool or wasn't like aesthetic or didn't showcase my abilities, I felt like I was a failure. So in a way, obviously that's awesome because, you know, as you can see, the set looks good and like the aesthetic is cool. But on the other hand, I had to spend a lot of time building it out. Like I'm not a construction guy, but because of my show, I had to learn how to do construction. Like I
Love
couldn't,
it.
if I were to hire people to build this set for me, it would have cost me like the amount of a down payment on a home, maybe
Wow.
more. And I was like, I can't really afford to spend all this on a show that I don't know like where it's gonna go. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna dedicate a few months of my life to learning construction, learning about electrical, learning about, you know, proper design and things like that. And I just physically went out and built this set. And of course I had help from time to time. I'd bring on people. One of my, you know, when my good friends and partners would come and help me from time to time, I'd randomly hire people to help me do things safely. But to be honest, the biggest challenge for me was actually constructing the show, like
Wow.
building the set, you know?
That's
No,
crazy.
it's an amazing set, and it said in the video, I watched a little bit and stalked you a little bit, obviously, but it took you 7 months. Was that from start of construction, or was that start of like learning the construction, planning, ordering?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So it took actually 1 year if I want to include planning, because I started planning spring of last year. Then in summer I started actually building. So the construction took 4 months. So it was planning for 4 to 5 months, construction for 4 months, and then the final 3 months were like actually shooting and editing my first episodes. So the 7 months that I talk about in that video is 4 months of construction and then 3 months of like editing and planning for the release that came in on January 1st.
That's amazing. And you are able to almost instantly see a return on it because you are doing the dang thing. You are blowing up. It is incredible. Your production is amazing. It's of high value. And, you know, I can see it taking off and going really far. So it's amazing that you're able to not only incorporate your personal experience as a filmmaker and director, but also bring that vision to light and explore different avenues of income or different mediums where you can use your voice, find yourself, you know, ourselves. And yeah, no, I think that's incredible. It's super cool.
You take it serious, and it's kind of like you were forced to do something that you probably wouldn't have done. I love that. And that's just kind of taking it serious. We see that you're very active on social media. Tell us a little bit about, you know, the branding that you have, right? You see that you have your own business, your own brand. And you spoke about productivity earlier, right? Just kind of setting goals, meeting your goals, different quotas and things like that. How did being more productive just kind of help you push your podcast to this new place and grow your listener base?
I set big goals for myself. The way I look at things is like I look at everything like a shoot. So when I'm directing a video, like let's say it's a video for a big pop star, right? You have high expectations, you have limited time, limited resources, sometimes limited budgets, but the expectation doesn't change, right? And the timeline doesn't really change. Like if they say you got this project with this artist and you got to shoot this day and deliver this day, you have no choice. You got to make it happen. So what I did for this whole process was like I treated it like one big shoot, you know? These are my deadlines. I got to build my set by this time. I got to shoot by this time. I got to edit by this time. And that's kind of how I've looked at everything. So to answer your question about productivity, the only way I'm able to be productive is to treat everything like a project, you know? And whether it's a life goal, the podcast, everything is just like one at a time. But now it's become something where I have to now be consistent with my goals. Like I have to, like, it's one thing to launch. What I learned is launching is actually the easy part. It's being consistent, which is extremely hard. Like how can you be consistently dropping episodes every week? How can you cut clips to release every day? How are you able to, you know, also research and plan interviews? And it's hard for me because I'm, you know, especially starting out, I did it all myself. So just figuring out that learning curve of like setting goals, setting deadlines, but also doing it yourself. It still takes a lot of planning and just like, I don't know, persistence, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you are your own worst critic. I am my own worst critic. And so instead of having that expectation from somebody else, it is now your own expectation. Right.
Yeah.
And so you have to like I can adjust these things, but the expectation is still there. So it's cool that you can bring that experience of having to have a crunch time and meeting deadlines, so you can implement that into your own structure. Obviously, sometimes we get a little loosey-goosey. I don't know about you, but I get loosey-goosey. And I'm like, I could just do that tomorrow, no big deal. But if I'm actually clocking into work, I'm like, I got to finish the video right now. And so I think the problem with me is trying to bridge that gap, doing things. Do you think you said a little bit in the beginning of like, I was just burning myself out, doing a lot of things mentally for other people. And with this podcast, it's kind of cool to see it come full circle where now you can actually devote that time and effort that you have successfully put into people now into yourself and set yourself up for success. That's super cool.
Doing ourselves, set it into ourselves,
Is there an experience that podcasting has brought you, or like a conversation or meeting somebody that was like, wow, I'm really doing this? Like, I don't know, a memorable experience in podcasting that you can share?
Yeah, it's so early, but my first episode was with Director X. And for those who don't know, Director X is a music video legend. He shot videos for Rihanna, Justin Bieber, Drake, and he was somebody I grew up watching his videos. And when I started to establish my own name in directing, we ended up meeting a lot of mutual friends. So through those relationships, I was able to invite him on the show. He was down to come. And I think having that first conversation and dropping that as my first episode was super meaningful to me. And I would say that still to this day is like the most, I think the biggest wow moment I've had, just because he was like somebody I idolized growing up, and I've followed his work since I was a kid,
No, I love that. And you're so humble in the sense of you have over a decade of experience where it should have led you down this path anyways, but just investing more into yourself, you're able to have that sit down conversation. You're like, oh my God, so credit to you, and, to have some more confidence in like, oh no, I can get anybody into this room because you are who you are and you're amazing. So yeah, that's awesome. Oh my gosh.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
What is some advice, you guys, that you could give to the audience just about, from where you started to where you're at now, with anything? We love to leave our viewers, listeners with just some advice, but what worked for you? I know what works for some doesn't work for all, but what worked for you? What's some advice for our audience?
There's a lot of things I've learned. I'm actually dropping an episode in like a week or two about things I learned from starting a podcast, but I'll tease them with you here. So
we need the inside scoop.
Yeah. Let me give you some inside scoop. So I think one thing that I've learned is you have to figure out a way to set yourself apart right now, because what's happening is there's a lot of podcasters, and there's like a stigma now against podcasters. Like, oh, here's another podcast. Oh, here they go again. And what's happening is a lot of people are able to launch their own shows. We have so much access to technology, like, phones and cameras and mics everything's cheap and accessible. So the barriers to entry are really low, which is good in a sense because now anybody can do it. But the bad thing is that the market for this is extremely saturated, right? So now if you're going to start this, let's say today, right? You want to start a podcast today, you're going to have to figure out what's something that'll set you apart, right? And it could be something simple, like it could be the color of your room, or like in my case, it's my set, right? Like no matter what, my set looks different from any other podcast out there, right? But it doesn't mean that everybody needs to have a crazy set, especially if you don't have the means, the time, or the financial ability. But you need to find something that'll make someone like who's scrolling stop and be like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe it's fonts, maybe it's color palettes, maybe it's the things you say, the way you talk, like figuring out that one or maybe two elements that immediately sets you apart, that'll get someone to stop scrolling. I think that's going to be like the biggest game changer for anyone. And then another piece of advice, there's three things I want to touch on. So that was the first one. The second one is like, don't wait too long, but also don't rush into it. And I'm telling you that because like before, so I told you this took me about a year to do, right? So a year prior to that, 2 years ago, I actually recorded an episode for my show, and it had a different name. It had a whole different vibe. And I just went to one of those like pre-recorded studios. There's like pre-built studios you can record podcasts out of. And so I did an episode and I recorded it, and I hated it. I still haven't even watched the full thing to this day. It was terrible. the set looked whack. My conversation was whack. And I was like, damn, am I really going to drop this? Like, I kind of spent a little bit of time and money on it, but I'm like, this doesn't feel true to me. So had I rushed and just dropped that, I would have not been, I don't think I would have been in the same situation I am today. So instead I waited. I kind of like thought about it some more, figured out a better game plan. And I took the time to actually like build a proper set and do things how I would have liked to do. And I think that made a huge difference. So even though I waited a year extra, I think my approach significantly like catapulted me further than had I started that like a year prior. However, I also want to say that like you don't have to wait that long either, right? So there's like a fine balance between rushing into it and waiting too long. And so I think for you, it's just figuring out like what are my values, what's really important to me, and what do I have to say? If what I have to say is super time sensitive, right? If I'm making a podcast about tariffs or if I'm making a podcast about stuff happening today, I got to drop it today. So for me, like my topics weren't super time sensitive and I was able to take the time to do it right. So that's like, the second thing. And then the last thing, which we touched on earlier, was to like set a schedule and find a flow. Because if you don't, you're going to fail. You're not going to be consistent. Like I have friends who started podcasts. They've already kind of fallen off. I have people who tell me it's difficult, who tell me they're not able to create content like the way they did when they started. What you have to do is you have to treat this like an assignment. Treat it like work. Treat it like school, This literally feels like homework, but it's fun. It's like fun homework, but it's still work, And so if you don't find a way to be consistent, I think growth will be a lot slower. And maybe that doesn't matter to you. Like for me, my goal, and I'm telling this right here on the show, like this is going to be one of the biggest shows in the next like 12 to 24 months. I promise.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it 110,000%.
You're here early. You're here early. But I'm setting that goal and I'm telling myself that every day. And I'm grinding every day, knowing that will happen without any excuses or hesitation. And it's really hard because sometimes my clips don't do well at all. Sometimes my episodes get no views, but I'm still grinding. I'm still doing it because I know that my time will come. So that's probably the third thing I have to say is just to like be consistent and hold yourself accountable,
I love it, man.
100%.
I love it. Well, tell them where they can find you. Where are you located? Where is the website, Instagram, YouTube channel? We want to let the audience know about the best episode that you have coming up next. Let them know.
Shout yourself out.
Yeah. So my Instagram is Ourselves Podcast. Actually, pretty much everything is Ourselves Podcast. Like TikTok, Instagram, and then YouTube is Ourselves TV. If you want to find a link for all my episodes, you can just go on ourselvespodcast.com. And then my personal social media, if you want to follow with my filmmaking stuff, is Arrad. That's Arrad. And yeah, man, shout out to Podbean also. I actually use Podbean, so this is a full circle moment,
Love it. And I love that we're catching you at this great time because now we got ammo in our back pocket because next year when you're blowing up and you're traveling the world,
we had an interview.
You're too good to come back on with us. No, I'm kidding.
We got to do a follow-up.
I would love that. This time next year when we can get your time. You're going to be so busy.
Man. Y'all are blown up too. Don't make it. Don't hype me up.
No, but I mean, there wouldn't be us without you, right?
I think it's both ways.
That's true.
Thank you again, and we'll be in touch with you soon, my brother.
Thank you
so much.
Appreciate you both.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Peace, y'all.
I have to say, there's nothing like your first. Obviously, everybody can say that. Doctor, shout out to you, Doctor, for being our first. But that was an amazing interview.
That was super cool. Yeah.
I love that. I think a lot of the things that we have been speaking about and preaching
naturally
in different forms. Yeah. I mean, to have this production lined up and the intention, guys, he spent 4 months planning, 7 months, really just laying it down, creating the studio and whatnot. Yeah. He has been podcasting for a couple months now, maybe a handful of episodes. He is blowing up. Yeah. So really having the intention, having a schedule, and being consistent. Like a lot of the things that he said that he's preaching, he has had the experience, over a decade of experience where he's had to implement these things for other people. And it's great to see him doing it for himself. And so he's a little bit ahead of the curve, but
great litmus for you guys.
I even have to look back at this video and take some notes on what he said so that I can implement it into a podcast that I have not started yet. Seriously, you're not the only one to procrastinate. Your time is coming and your time is now. I'm telling you right now. We're going to go home and we're going to do it. We're going to write it down, at least. First step.
Yeah, let's get it.
But anyway, speaking of first steps, we are going to be having our first live webinar where you can come in. The Podbean team's going to sit down live in action, almost like a live stream. No, it is a live stream, a live webinar. You can sign up online. You can sign up on our website. The links in our bios to every social media we have has that link to the webinar. And essentially, it's Thursday, April 24th at 5:30 PST.
Yeah.
We will be sitting down live in action. Come and type to us, come and troll us, whatever, make us laugh, spend some time with us.
Yeah, we're going to talk about advertising. So guys, how you make a little money? I know you've been thinking it. I know you want to. So yeah, definitely join us. All right, guys. That was another episode of Podbean Amplified. Please, if you have not yet, go to podbean.com, sign up for free to start your podcast. If you have a friend, family member, coworker that has been interested in starting a podcast, send them the website. Until next week, we will see you soon.